have you with us. I'm An Jung-hyun for Heart to Heart. We've all read a detective novel or two in our past and dreamed about becoming a detective ourselves. Well, joining me today is a real-life detective whose work is based mainly in the United States. Please welcome Detective Bruce Kang of Intersearch Incorporated. Nice to have you with us.
Nice to meet you.
So, are you here in Korea on a business trip?
Yes.
You have offices here.
Yeah, we have two offices, one in Bangidong, just front of Olympic Parks. That office handling investigation service. We have another office in Bundang. That's specialized for family reunions service.
Oh, I see. So here is part of a business. Do you come to Korea often?
Yeah, almost every month.
Oh, really? Almost every month, I see. Let's talk a bit about your work now. We think about detectives. When we think about detectives, we think about crimes, mysteries, and things like that. What sort of work do you do?
It's my specialization, or?
Just detectives in general, first of all.
In general, a lot of people think so detectives is handling a crime only. But so most of part is they handling a civil case. So maybe 70% civil and 30% crime. And detective field is very much open. You know, now societies grow up, the detective field is grow up too.
Oh, I see. So when you say civil cases, what cases would they be? Finding missing persons?
No, civil case detective usually work for the defendant lawyers.
I see.
We're trying to prove not guilty.
I see. Oh. And what sort of qualifications do you need to become a detective? Is there a test that you have to pass? Or?
Yeah. People think, no, that's a requirement, not by the law. First, reasoning ability and intuition. That's the requirement for the actual engaging in work. But by the law, requirements, they have three requirements. First requirement is good moral characters. Second, you have to pass the law. Pass the exam. Third, you have to have insurance, liability insurance. That's the required by law.
I see. But you have to have intuition and...
Yeah, that's the intuition, and reasoning ability is best tool of investigators.
I see.
But it's not, you can't study by a textbook.
Sure.
You have to have experience. You can learn step by step, and you can, develop to yourself.
So what's the difference between private detectives like yourself and what we see in movies as police detectives?
Private detective and police detective is very similar, but police detective is government investigators, and private detective actually is civilian, like a normal people. But by the law, they're allowed to investigating.
Do you have the same authority as police detectives?
Most of them, but sometimes different. We don't have a government authority to investigating, but we have investigating power by the private detective law.
I see. Then are people that you are investigating, are they generally cooperative? Because with the police, there is the official that is the official authority for investigation. But say you're a private detective and you go and question a witness or whoever, are they generally cooperative?
We usually working undercovers.
Oh.
Yeah. When I interviewing, we usually call it interviews, not interrogation.
Okay.
So interview is much comparable to people. So every kind of a case, we acting as a different way. I can acting as a postman or teachers or like a merchant. That's allowed by law. We can do anything. So, if this case of a school, so I can acting as a school teacher, then you can communicate comfortably. You can easily get the information. If I showing a badges, then you stop and zip it off. That's we start to have problem. Even same as it's the same. Police detective is the same thing. They usually approach the comfortable way.
Most of the time, you work in disguise then.
Usually.
Oh, I see.
Sometimes we have an open investigation. We showing a badges and we just wearing a badge outside. But most of the case, we just quiet. We don't have to identify ourselves.
Well, what is the process of investigation like then? You obviously have a client who comes to you with a case, and then what happens after that?
Yeah. So our client is all over the place. Most of my client is big corporation, but some case from the government agency, like Presidential Committee of Suspicious Deaths. We're handling 2 cases.
I see.
Yeah. Sometimes individual people, they come to us to asking investigation. But my field is most of my client from the CEO of the corporation or high-level staff of the corporation.
So they come to you with cases, and then what do you do? How do you go about investigating?
First, we have to have a contract. It's the business. It's not a government.
Right.
Then we collect the information as much we have. Then we research the information, and this is the collect information, or we need additional information. Then we break it out, and how we approach, how we going to, step by step. Then after we reach the final decision, then we conclude the case, and we decide open case or close the case.
So sometimes those cases must take months, for a long time.
Every case is different. Sometimes take within hours. If we researching people, locating people, we have a database, same as accessing a government agency. We just punch it up, then it pop up. So it takes maybe sometimes 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But in my field, for fugitive recovery, it takes 6 months to a year, sometimes 2 years.
When you say fugitive recovery, that means locating fugitives.
Yeah, we're locating a fugitive. We take him back to our court where they arrest one.
And most of the time, these fugitives are in hiding, so
Yeah.
you have to. It takes you months or almost a year sometimes to
Average
find them.
1 year.
I see. Is it possible to find somebody who's like who wants to hide himself totally from the world?
Right. Even they change the identity.
Right.
We keep tracking down. We're not tracking only that person. We're tracking, it's around
His
connected.
friends, family. Oh, I see. So it is possible to.
Yes.
I see. So there is no way to completely hide
There's
from
no
the
way
world.
to completely hide.
I see. We have a collection of photographs that were taken of Detective Kang on the job in the United States. Let's have a look at those. Can you explain the pictures for us?
That picture was my first case. And right inside is the chairman of the Daesun Corporation. Then he awarded me after we solved the case. It was the biggest case in Korea. It was $7 million involved.
You actually have a gun
That
as well?
picture, he's chief of police, the Port Authority police. He was a former president of the Daejeon Kim. I innovated with him too. I was a reporter at the time. He was a partner, Mr. McGovern. There's another PI in Houston. His name is Danny Lang. He cooperated with a different case. He's an INS special agent. So he worked for
Immigration and
we worked
Naturalization
together,
Service.
yeah. There was a battleship in Houston, and after I solved the case, and I just have a personal tour. That building behind us, World Trade Center, now is gone. There are pictures. I working with civilian organization for patrolling, police patrolling. That's our employee and investigator in the Chicago office. So we visit FBI training centers.
Center, I see. And you actually brought with you your badge as well, right?
Yes.
What's that pin on your?
That's the badge of Korean American and the Korean Association of Licensed Detective in all world.
Oh, all over the world.
All over the world.
So there are many Korean detectives all over the world.
So not much licensed. We have associate member, working with the investigative field, like a police detective and a government investigator, or a law professor or investigative professor. They can be associate members.
I see.
We have about 200 associate members.
I see. Do you have your badge with you as well?
Yes, we carrying a similar badge with police
With
detective,
police,
and if you have to identify ourselves, we showing a badge first, and
That's how you flash it
Right,
to people. I
right.
see. And on top of it, that is your
that's the license for private detective.
It says Class A private detective.
Private detective is Class A. Class B is private security contractors.
Oh,
Class
how
A
does
is
it difference?
private detective agencies.
Let me ask you then, how detectives are considered in the United States?
So private detective treated as a professional, like a doctor or licensed architects. We testify at the court. So they count on us as a professional.
That's because in the United States there is a special private detective law.
Right, private law and also licensing system. Very hard to get a license.
I see.
So, most of states, every state has a different law and different requirement, but very similar. Private license, you requiring 6,000 hours experience for taking exam. It's also exam is not easy, but 60% is low, but 30% and actual investigation techniques, but 10% how to managing a client and how to managing evidence, something like that, and court system.
That's how the exam's divided.
Yeah,
I see.
and about 20% pass the exam. Yeah.
That few.
Yeah. About lawyer, they passing 90%. They pass the exam. And private sector is more difficult to passing exams because there is nobody teaching how you take exams.
So 6,000 hours of field
6,000 hours
experience.
means about 3 hours for full time, 3 years for full time.
Full-time. Well, as we were looking through the pictures, we saw you in a shooting range as well. Does that mean you have a gun? And
Yeah, we carry a gun all the time, and that also they require renewing a permit for carrying a firearm. So we have to requalification test at the shooting ranges.
I see. And judging from the pictures as well, you cooperate a lot with the police too?
Yeah, the law requires that we cooperate with police, and so police not required to cooperate with the private detective by law, but they usually cooperate.
Now, I understand that before you became a private detective, or way back in your younger years, you used to actually be part of a military intelligence team. Does that sort of help in your experience?
Yeah, it was the same field. So my specialty was surveillance. The surveillance is the most field of private detective. So I was a special agent of a Korean intelligence agency, military intelligence agency.
Right.
So after that, I went to United States, and I became a investigator, reporter, worked for the newspapers. And then I opened my agency for collection agency, and so my field is with skip tracing.
Skip tracing
Yeah,
means
we're tracing debtor.
debtors. I
Debtors.
see.
Then be a private detective. Almost the same field. It's only difference is purpose.
Oh, so from the time you were in the military until now, your work has been mostly in surveillance, gathering information, locating people, and things like that.
Right.
But what sort of made you become a licensed detective?
I never planned to be a private detective. I was in the collection business, and Dason Corporation, they have one of the employee, they stealing money. It's about $7 million from the
Embezzled company funds,
embezzlement,
right?
yeah. So we solved the case after 9 months. So we tracked him for 9 months. That time I didn't know how to do. Then I was not a private detective. I was a skip tracer. And I learned a lot for the case. Yeah. I solved the case, I practiced and learned together at the same time. So after I solved the case, that case was the biggest financial crime in Korea at that time. And there was a top 10 news, and also first case, Korean court issuing arrest warrant people in the
For somebody in the United States.
Yeah, in the United States or out of country. So every newspaper they reporting for the case, not personal, but I have some interviewing article for the news. I just became famous with the one case, but I was not a private detective. Picture is on the picture, and he's Kim Young-dae. He's chairman of the Dason Corporation. He asked me, "Why don't you be a private detective? There's a lot of cases here, but nobody can handle it. So, I want to be a private detective, but I don't have I'm not qualified for the taking exam, so I have to work for the agency for 3 years. So I worked for the American agency for 3 years. Then
to collect 6,000 years of hours of experience.
Then I took the exam and passed. I get a license. I opened my own business.
So that Daesun Group case, that was a big break for everybody, especially for you.
Right. That made me a private detective. Also make popular to everybody.
Well, what do you think you have that makes you a good detective? I mean, there are characteristics or personality traits that you have that must make you a better detective than others?
Personality, good moral character, not required by law, but I think that's the most important. If you have a lot of technique, but you don't have good moral characters, you'd be a bad detective.
And you think that is one of your strengths, then?
Right.
So, how many cases have you handled as a private detective? Do you remember? Or do you keep count?
I never count. But, big case, more than about 30 cases. But small case, maybe several thousands.
What are some interesting cases that you can tell us about?
Interesting case. No, first case was interesting.
The Daesun Group case, I see.
Yeah.
Have you ever been in danger, or have you ever regretted becoming a detective?
Sometimes, but in my field is financial crime. So most of the time, I'm safe. It's not a violent crime. But sometimes they, call me, and like I will kill you.
Threaten you.
Right.
I see.
But some okay, but I worry about my families. That's why nobody know where I live.
Really?
Yeah, I'm always hiding my old record. Professional they can find me, but most of people they don't know where I live or where I do.
What does your wife think about your job then?
First time I starting, she doesn't like it. She worry about so much.
Right.
Yeah, but right now she's happy. She's proud.
So despite that sort of risk and some stressful cases that you have to deal with, what do you like so much about detective work?
First, you reach the world. The feels bad for like felonies. But when I usually go around. I'm not going to straight breaking out. I usually go around, and it takes time to solve the case. When you solve the case, you have confidence and fulfill your satisfaction.
It's solving the case that keeps you going.
Right.
I understand that you also do other types of work, which one of which is locating separated families and helping reunite them. What sort of a job is that?
We locating people, usually a family, but sometimes a friend, sometimes former lovers, but most of the cases families. They lost the contact for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. The longest one was 43 years ago.
Between Korea and the United States?
Between Korea and the United States. So sometimes other country. We found in Sweden, and Swiss, and London. And we have a contact all over the place, but most of the case is United States and Korea.
There must be some heartwarming, touching stories among those as well, right?
That's why we keep doing this.
I see. And that's sort of where you can find your personal satisfaction as well. So overall, how many do you think you've helped to locate and reunite?
I'm starting locating a long-lost family about 4 years ago. I never count how many family reunite. I can say a little less than 1,000 families.
That's still a lot.
Yeah, for last 4 years.
The people who are watching this program and who are thinking about maybe coming to you for help for cases or to help locate a separated family, how would they contact you?
They can find me at, we have home pages in specialized for the family reunion service.
A homepage exclusively for the family reunion service.
It's a humansearch365.com.
Human Search.
Service in Korean, and also koreandetective.com in the United States.
In the United
They
States.
can reach me either way.
I see. What's the sort of case you're working on right now? Can you talk about it? Or?
Right now, we just finished a case for, maybe you remember the singer named Sonia. She looked for the father for a long time. And one of the TV stations, they planned to reunite it. And they asked me to find the father. But she doesn't know, even doesn't remember anything about not even name. So we starting with nothing. Yeah, we found the father's name and record, and we could track him down, and we found him in a small town, Burlington, North Carolina.
Really? Without any information you found
Without
her?
any information.
And how long did that take?
It takes more than months. Usually it takes a couple hours, usually within weeks. But this case was the hardest one. It took some months.
Because you had nothing to work with.
Right. We have to find who's her father first.
And when you go back to the United States, what case is waiting for you there?
I'm still working with several other, financial crime case.
Mostly embezzlement and
Embezzlement
fraud.
and credit card fraud and banking fraud
I
and
see.
all kinds of financial crimes.
You got plenty of work waiting for you when you get back.
Right.
Well, I thank you very much for your time. Good luck with all the cases that you are investigating right now, and thanks for telling us about the exciting world of detective.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, that's all for this edition of Heart to Heart. Tomorrow I'll be back with Professor John McGuire, who makes studying philosophy fun. Come back and find out how. Until then, take care.